I dropped my freeloading brother off at our aunt's house after she called and scolded me for evicting him. My brother Tyler had been staying with me for 8 months now, supposedly while he got back on his feet after his girlfriend kicked him out. But every week it was some new excuse. He'd get a job at a warehouse, quit after 3 days because the manager was a jerk. He'd apply somewhere else, never hear back because he bombed the interview showing up in wrinkled clothes. Meanwhile, he was eating my food, using my Netflix, leaving dirty dishes everywhere, and bringing random girls over at 2 a.m. who'd be gone by morning. The breaking point came when I found out he'd been telling people he was helping me with rent. Complete lie. He hadn't given me a single dollar since he moved in. When I confronted him about it, he just shrugged and said money was tight. But that same week I caught him buying expensive sneakers and a new gaming headset, so I told him he had 2 weeks to find somewhere else to live. He laughed it off at first, probably thinking I was bluffing, but when I started packing his stuff into garbage bags, he finally realized I was serious. He called me all kinds of names, said I was abandoning family, the whole guilt trip routine. The night before his deadline, our Aunt Diane called me at like 10 p.m. She was furious, yelling about how I was being cruel and heartless to my own brother. Tyler had apparently called her crying, saying I was throwing him out on the streets for no reason. He told her I was jealous of his success and wanted to sabotage him. Total garbage, but Diane ate it up. She lectured me for 20 minutes about family loyalty and how our parents would be ashamed of me. She kept saying things like, "You need to be the bigger person here, and blood is thicker than water." I tried explaining what really happened, but she cut me off every time. Finally, she said, if I really kicked him out, she'd never speak to me again. That's when I got the idea. The next morning, I loaded Tyler's stuff into my car while he was still sleeping. All his clothes, his PlayStation, his collection of energy drinks, everything. Then I drove straight to Diane's house across town. She lives in this nice 2-bedroom place with a guest room that's always empty. I rang her doorbell at 8 a.m. with Tyler's bags. When she opened the door looking confused, I smiled and said, "Good news. You can put your money where your mouth is. Since you're so concerned about Tyler having nowhere to go, he can stay with you. Problem solved." Her face went completely white. She started stammering about how she didn't mean it like that, how she was just trying to make me see reason. I told her Tyler would be there by noon, and that I knew she'd take great care of him since family was so important to her. When I got back home, Tyler was awake and panicking because all his stuff was gone. I told him the good news about his new living situation. He started freaking out, saying Diane was weird and strict and lived too far from everything. I reminded him that beggars can't be choosers, and that Diane specifically volunteered to help him out. I drove him over there that afternoon. The whole ride he was trying to get me to change my mind, promising he'd be different if I let him stay, but I was done falling for his lies. When we pulled into Diane's driveway, she came out looking like she wanted to disappear into the ground. Tyler realized what had happened and started yelling at both of us, but I just unloaded his bags onto her porch, told them to work it out, and drove away. Through my rearview mirror, I could see Diane trying to calm Tyler down while he gestured wildly at my car. 3 days later, Diane called me back. Her voice was completely different now, all tired and defeated. She said Tyler had already eaten most of her food, broken her coffee table by putting his feet on it, and invited some sketchy friends over who left cigarette butts all over her yard. She apologized for calling me heartless, and said she finally understood why I had to kick him out. But here's the kicker. She couldn't bring herself to kick him out either because she felt guilty. So now Tyler was her problem, and she was stuck dealing with all the same garbage I'd been putting up with for months. She asked if I had any advice for getting him to leave. I told her she was on her